A former casino floor manager just revealed something that could change how you see slot machines forever. Right now, across the country, casinos are quietly removing specific games in the middle of the night, and most players don't even notice until their favorite machine has vanished. According to multiple former employees, this isn't random maintenance or coincidence. It's a coordinated strategy, and understanding which machines are disappearing could explain why that game you used to love suddenly isn't there anymore. What these insiders are saying will shock you, because the pattern behind these removals reveals exactly what casinos don't want on their floors. I'm going to walk you through 7 specific machines that are being systematically phased out, and by the end, you'll understand why your gambling experience probably feels different than it used to. Machine number 1, Wheel of Fortune quarter slots, the original single line version. We're talking about those mechanical reel Wheel of Fortune machines from the late 1990s and early 2000s, the ones with actual physical reels that spun and clicked into place. According to a former slot technician, a regular player named Margaret visited her local casino every Thursday for 12 years. She'd arrive at exactly 2 p.m., sit at the same Wheel of Fortune machine near the back wall, and play for 3 hours before heading home. One Thursday, she walked in to find her machine gone, replaced overnight with a digital version that looked almost identical. Margaret asked a floor attendant what happened, and according to the technician who documented this, the attendant had been specifically trained to say the machine was just being updated. But internal reports tell a different story. The original mechanical Wheel of Fortune machines had true mechanical randomness. Every spin was determined by physical stops on actual reels. And according to former employees who serviced these machines, the RTP was genuinely higher than modern equivalents, typically running between 92 and 94%, compared to the 88 to 90% you see today. The bonus wheel had genuinely equal probability segments because it was an actual physical wheel with balanced weight distribution. But here's what makes these machines a target for removal. They can't be networked for player tracking as effectively as modern digital systems. Casino management can't adjust the RTP remotely. There's no way to push a software update that changes the odds. And perhaps most importantly for casino operations, these machines require expensive maintenance because they have physical moving parts that wear out and break down. Former slot directors have been quoted in industry publications talking about floor optimization. And what that really means is replacing anything that doesn't generate maximum revenue per square foot. The devastating part is what's replacing these machines. Casinos are installing digital versions that look virtually identical to the original, same Wheel of Fortune branding, same visual layout, same sounds. But the math underneath is completely different. Players sit down thinking they're playing the same game Margaret enjoyed for 12 years, but according to documented specifications, they're actually playing something with 2 to 4% lower RTP and algorithms that can be adjusted remotely based on casino performance metrics. And if you think replacing mechanical machines with digital lookalikes is sneaky, wait until you hear about machine number 2. Machine number 2, Double Diamond, the classic 3-reel version. This is one of the most iconic slot machine designs ever created. That simple 3-reel format with the double diamond wild symbol that could multiply your wins. According to documentation from a former slot manager who worked on the Las Vegas Strip, his casino removed 40 double diamond machines in a single weekend. Not gradually over months, not one at a time as they broke down. 40 machines pulled from the floor in 2 days during a coordinated overnight operation. When players asked where the games went, floor staff had been instructed to explain that the casino was refreshing the slot selection, making room for exciting new titles. The internal reasoning was very different. Double Diamond represents one of the simplest slot architectures ever designed. 3 reels, straightforward pay line, visible symbols. According to former technicians who programmed these machines, the RTP often ran between 92 and 95%, significantly higher than what modern casino management considers acceptable. But what really makes these machines problematic from a casino's perspective is how transparent they are. Players can literally count the symbols on each reel. With just a little observation, someone playing Double Diamond can calculate rough odds and understand approximately how often they should expect wins. The gameplay is also remarkably fast. You spin, you see the result immediately, you collect or you don't. There's no extended bonus sequence, no free spin round that takes 2 minutes to play out, no progressive jackpot counter slowly climbing on the screen. This creates what internal casino reports call low time on device metrics. According to analysis from former operations managers, double diamond players would typically finish a session in 3 to 5 minutes, either walking away with a modest win or accepting a quick loss and moving to another game. Modern casino strategy aims for 8 to 12-minute average sessions, keeping players seated and betting continuously for much longer periods. Double Diamond can't deliver that. The game has no multi-level bonus structure, no way to incorporate progressive systems that keep players chasing a big number on the screen. Industry data referenced by former executives shows these machines generate significantly lower revenue per square foot compared to modern alternatives, sometimes 30 to 40% less. And here's where the removal strategy gets really calculated. Now, you might think simple games are the only ones disappearing, but wait until you hear about machine number 3, because that one reveals just how specific this elimination pattern actually is. Machine number 3, Blazing Sevens, the traditional versions. Those classic Red Hot Sevens games used to be absolutely everywhere in virtually every casino across the country. According to a player named Robert who meticulously documented his local casino visits, he noticed something disturbing starting in early 2021. The casino floor had 8 Blazing Sevens machines in January. By July, there were only 2. Robert actually kept a journal with photographs because he thought he was losing his mind. One machine would disappear each month like clockwork, and when he asked casino staff about it, he'd get vague responses about rotation and floor updates. But former floor managers tell a very different story about why these machines are being systematically removed. The technical breakdown of Blazing Sevens reveals exactly what casinos don't want. It's a straightforward multiplier system with an RTP that typically runs between 90 and 92%, according to former technicians who programmed these games. The machine has minimal bonus features, which means minimal hope mechanics. Players aren't sitting through elaborate bonus rounds that build false anticipation. They're not watching animated sequences that take 45 seconds to reveal a modest win. Every spin on Blazing Sevens delivers immediate, transparent results. You win more frequently on these machines, but the wins are smaller and more predictable. This is the exact opposite of what modern casino psychology wants to create. The game doesn't exploit near-miss scenarios effectively because the design is too simple and honest. Here's where it gets particularly insidious according to insider information. A former floor manager revealed that major casino corporations now track what they call excitement metrics through audio sensors built into modern slot machines. These systems listen for celebratory sounds from players, measuring volume and frequency of reactions. Blazing Sevens consistently produced fewer of these excitement indicators in internal testing. Players would hit modest wins, collect their credits, and often walk away. That behavioral pattern is absolutely terrible for casino revenue optimization. Documentation from internal reports shows that Blazing Sevens players had significantly higher rates of cashing out after modest winning sessions compared to players on modern multi-feature games. The replacement strategy is where this becomes particularly cruel to loyal players. Casinos aren't just removing Blazing Sevens and leaving empty floor space. They're installing games with nearly identical names and visual themes, but completely different mathematical structures underneath. You'll now find machines called Blazing Sevens Bonus or Super Blazing Sevens that look remarkably similar to the original, same red and orange color scheme, same visual style of flaming sevens on the reels. But according to former game developers, these new versions incorporate bonus rounds that trigger extremely rarely, sometimes once every 400 to 500 spins. The base game RTP on these replacement versions runs 4 to 6% lower than the originals. Players who spent years developing affection and loyalty to Blazing Sevens sit down at these new versions thinking they're playing the same game, but the math has been completely gutted and reconstructed to favor the house more aggressively. This is particularly heartbreaking because those players genuinely believe they're still playing their favorite machine, and they can't understand why their experience feels so different, and their money disappears so much faster. And speaking of games that look the same but absolutely aren't, machine number 4 is going to show you just how sneaky these replacements have become. Machine number 4, quick hit slots, specifically the older versions without progressive jackpots. We're talking about quick hit games from before 2015, before the progressive systems were incorporated into the design. According to documentation that analyzed casino surveillance data and floor maps from major Las Vegas properties, there's a clear timeline showing coordinated removal of these older quick hit versions across multiple casino corporations within the same 18-month period. This wasn't gradual obsolescence or random replacement. Internal scheduling documents referenced by former operations managers show these removals were planned systematically, with specific target dates for converting entire banks of machines simultaneously. The technical details reveal exactly why these particular versions had to go. The original quick hit slots had a base game RTP of approximately 94%, according to specifications accessed by former technicians. The mechanic was elegantly simple. Collect quick hit symbols, and the more you collect, the bigger your prize. Wins were frequent but moderate in size. The game had no progressive jackpot component, which meant the casino kept a consistent, predictable percentage of every dollar wagered. But modern casino mathematics demanded something different, something more extractive. The newer quick hit versions that replaced these older machines divert 2 to 3% of every bet into a progressive jackpot pool. This architectural change lowered the base game RTP down to 88 to 90%. Players now win less frequently in regular gameplay, but there's a big number on the screen constantly growing, creating what industry psychologists call the lottery effect. Here's where the replacement becomes truly deceptive. Many of these older quick hit machines weren't actually removed from casino floors initially. According to a former slot technician, the machines would be taken away, labeled as going for routine maintenance, then returned to the floor looking absolutely identical, but with the progressive system added. The conversion process took approximately 15 minutes per machine, just swapping out the software chip and updating the display panel. Most players never noticed that the math underneath their favorite game had fundamentally changed. Internal documentation from casino operations departments, referenced in industry publications, describes these conversions as a progressive enhancement initiative. But the enhancement wasn't for players. A woman who'd played Quick Hit religiously for years at her local casino actually tracked her results in a spreadsheet. After the machines came back from that supposed maintenance period, she documented a 30% decline in her winning sessions over the next 6 months despite playing the same number of hours with the same betting strategy. She thought her luck had changed, but what actually changed was the mathematical structure of the game itself, altered specifically to extract more money from players while giving back less. But here's where casino strategy gets really disturbing. Machine number 5 is being removed for reasons that go beyond simple mathematics, and when you understand why, you'll see just how calculated these decisions really are. Machine number 5, Monopoly, specifically the original pass-go versions with the physical bonus board. According to a longtime player named Janet, she walked into her regular casino the day it reopened after the COVID closure in mid-2020, excited to get back to her favorite Monopoly machine. She'd been playing that exact game in that exact spot for nearly 8 years. When she got to the floor, every single Monopoly machine was gone. Not relocated to a different section, not temporarily removed for maintenance. Completely absent from the property. Janet asked 3 different floor attendants and finally a pit boss where the machines went. Nobody could give her a straight answer. One person said they were being serviced, another claimed the casino was updating its game selection, a third suggested maybe they'd be back next month. According to former casino employees who worked through these COVID period renovations, that closure period became an opportunity for wholesale floor reconfigurations that would have been much more noticeable if done during normal operations. Games that management wanted gone simply never came back. And by the time players returned, the absence felt like old news rather than active removal. The technical explanation for targeting these original Monopoly machines reveals everything. These games featured mechanical bonus wheels, actual physical spinning mechanisms that determined your bonus round outcome. That means genuine physical randomness that follows the laws of physics and probability. According to former slot technicians, the RTP on these original versions ran approximately 92 to 94%, and the bonus trigger rate was roughly once every 120 spins. When you entered that bonus round, you took an actual random walk around a physical Monopoly board. The outcome was determined by mechanical systems that couldn't be weighted, adjusted, or optimized remotely. Casino management had zero ability to tune these results based on quarterly revenue targets or player tracking data. The machines either worked as designed or they didn't. There was no middle ground, no software update that could shave 2% off the RTP during a slow month. Here's what makes removing these machines particularly calculated. Those physical mechanisms are expensive to maintain. Moving parts wear out, wheels require calibration, sensors need replacement. But the maintenance cost isn't really why they're disappearing, according to industry insiders. A former game developer explained that modern digital versions appear to offer the same Monopoly bonus experience, the same board layout, the same visual presentation. But the math is entirely different. Digital randomness allows for weighted algorithms that look random, but actually aren't. The new versions can program certain board spaces to appear less frequently, certain outcomes to trigger in specific circumstances based on your betting history, and session length. The RTP dropped to 88 to 90% on these digital replacements, and more importantly, the casino gained complete control over performance optimization. The cruel irony is that the Monopoly brand itself has never been more popular or valuable. These machines still draw players because of name recognition and nostalgia, but the versions that actually gave players a mathematically fair experience have been systematically eliminated and replaced with digital simulations that only appear equivalent. Now, before I reveal machine number 6, I'd really appreciate if you'd subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell, because understanding these patterns could change how you see casino floors forever. And let me know in the comments which of these machines was your favorite, and whether you've noticed it disappearing from your local casino. Because what I'm about to tell you about machine number 6 explains a lot about why your wins don't feel the same anymore, and why that mathematical fairness you might remember from older games has been systematically engineered out of modern slot design. Machine number 6, Triple Red Hot 7s, the original IGT versions. These were the predecessors to all modern stacked wild games, featuring a classic three-reel format with simple wild multiplication mechanics. According to testimony from a former slot director who spoke at a gaming industry conference, his corporate office issued a directive in 2018 specifically targeting what internal documents called legacy high RTP titles. Triple Red Hot 7s was explicitly named in that directive. The reasoning provided to floor managers was portfolio optimization, but the former director later revealed the real mandate was removing any game with an RTP above 92% that couldn't be immediately retrofitted with more extractive features. These machines had to go because they represented the old social contract between casinos and players, the unspoken agreement that gambling was entertainment with a cost, not a mathematical trap disguised as hope. The technical breakdown shows exactly why these games violated modern casino strategy. Triple Red Hot 7s typically operated with an RTP between 93 and 95%, genuinely exceptional by contemporary standards. The volatility was very low, meaning players experienced frequent small wins rather than rare large payouts. Hit frequency ran approximately 1 in 8 spins, so players felt like they were winning constantly, even though the wins were modest. This created the ability to grind these machines for hours on a modest bankroll. A player with $100 could reasonably expect 3 to 4 hours of entertainment, sometimes walking away slightly ahead, sometimes slightly behind, but rarely experiencing catastrophic loss. That playing pattern is absolutely unacceptable to modern casino revenue models. Floor space occupied by Triple Red Hot 7s could generate 40% more revenue, with modern replacements according to analysis of casino performance reports. A typical older machine might produce $150 to $200 per day in casino win. The modern games replacing them generate $280 to $350 per day in the exact same floor location, same foot traffic, same player demographics. The difference is purely mathematical extraction efficiency. Here's what several former operations managers have called the most disturbing insider revelation. Triple red hot sevens and machines like it were specifically flagged because they appeal to a particular demographic that casino analytics identified through player tracking data. According to internal research referenced by a former executive, these low volatility games attracted older players on fixed incomes who treated casino visits as affordable entertainment rather than potential windfalls. These players would arrive with predetermined budgets, play for specific time periods, and leave when their entertainment window closed regardless of whether they were winning or losing. That behavioral pattern represents everything modern casino mathematics wants to eliminate. The quote that keeps surfacing from former employees is particularly chilling. Multiple floor managers from different properties report being told during training sessions to help make the unfun games disappear. What management meant by unfun wasn't games that players disliked. They meant games that didn't generate sufficient emotional volatility, games that didn't create the desperate hope that keeps players anchored to their seats, burning through money faster than they intended. And if you think targeting demographic-specific games is bad, wait until you hear why machine number 7 is vanishing, because this one reveals the complete extinction of what industry insiders call honest gambling. Machine number 7, Wild Cherry, the classic 3 reel versions. These simple cherry-themed games have been casino staples since the 1980s. And according to a retired couple who documented their casino visits meticulously for 2 decades, they watched 15 wild cherry machines disappear from their local property over just 18 months between 2021 and 2023. The couple actually created a photo journal because they couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Every few weeks, another machine would vanish, usually replaced within days by something with 5 times as many buttons and screens filled with incomprehensible bonus features. When they asked management what was happening, they received the standard explanation about floor refreshes and player preference data. But former slot directors tell a completely different story about these removals. Wild Cherry represents pure 3 reel mechanical or video simulation with absolutely transparent design. The RTP on these machines commonly ran between 94 and 96%, which is exceptionally high by any standard, historical or contemporary. There are no bonus rounds, no free spin features, no progressive jackpots. Players can literally see every symbol on every reel. The average session length documented in casino analytics runs 12 to 15 minutes before players walk away with either modest profit or acceptable loss. According to former executives who analyzed this data, that session pattern makes these machines completely incompatible with modern revenue optimization models. Between 2018 and 2020, major casino corporations issued what they publicly called portfolio optimization directives. But internal documentation reveals these were actually systematic removal orders for specific game categories. Wild Cherry and similar transparent 3 reel games were explicitly flagged as underperforming assets, not because players disliked them, but because they didn't generate sufficient revenue per square foot compared to modern alternatives. The removal timeline is particularly revealing. COVID casino closures created perfect cover for wholesale floor reconfigurations. When properties shut down, management had months of unobserved access to completely redesign their slot floors. Wild Cherry machines and similar games were removed during these closures and simply never returned when casinos reopened. Players came back to find their familiar games gone, replaced by banks of identical-looking modern machines with digital screens and complexity that obscured any meaningful understanding of actual odds. According to a former Atlantic City casino executive, his property replaced 30 Wild Cherry machines with modern equivalents and documented a 45% revenue increase from the exact same floor space. But internal player satisfaction scores, which casinos track but rarely publicize, dropped 60 among the demographic that had preferred those older games. Management's response, according to the former executive, was that player satisfaction was no longer a primary metric if revenue targets were being exceeded. But here's what makes Wild Cherry's elimination particularly significant beyond just this one game. These machines represent everything modern casinos have systematically decided they don't want on their floors. The game can't collect meaningful player behavior data because the mechanics are too simple. There's no way to create near miss scenarios because there are only three reels and players can see everything clearly. There's no possibility of implementing losses disguised as wins, that predatory design where players lose money, but the machine celebrates with sounds and lights as if they'd won. Most importantly, players who choose Wild Cherry actually win their mathematically fair share. The RTP isn't a theoretical number buried in documentation somewhere. It's a lived reality that players experience over reasonable session lengths. A former casino executive who left the industry specifically because of ethical concerns provided perhaps the most damning quote. These games represent the old social contract with players. We admitted gambling was entertainment with a defined cost. Modern games are about hope extraction, not entertainment. They're designed to keep you in your seat, disoriented about whether you're winning or losing, betting continuously until your money is gone. This isn't speculation or conspiracy theory. Documentation exists showing that a casino in Atlantic City replaced those 30 Wild Cherry machines with modern multi-feature games and tracked the results meticulously. Revenue from that floor section increased 45% within 6 months. But the internal player satisfaction surveys, which the casino conducted but never publicized, showed a 60% decrease in satisfaction among players who had frequented that area of the floor. The casino's response, according to meeting minutes obtained by former employees, was that player satisfaction had become a secondary concern as long as revenue targets were being met or exceeded. The machines that made players happy weren't making the casino enough money, so they had to go regardless of player preference. But here's what's really disturbing, and this is the pattern that connects all 7 of these machines into a coherent industry strategy. This isn't random obsolescence or natural market evolution. According to analysis from former industry insiders and gaming commission reports, this represents a coordinated, deliberate shift in casino floor philosophy. Every single machine being removed shares specific characteristics that modern casino management has decided are incompatible with current profit expectations. So what does this pattern actually reveal when you connect all 7 machines together? Every single game that's being systematically removed gave players substantially more control and understanding of what was happening. Every eliminated machine operated with an RTI between 92 and 96%, significantly higher than the 88 to 91% that defines modern replacements. Every vanishing game created shorter playing sessions, typically 12 to 20 minutes before players made a decision to walk away with modest results. And critically, every removed machine was substantially harder for casinos to manipulate through remote software updates or algorithmic adjustments. According to a former casino operations director who now consults independently, what the industry calls player value optimization is actually a clinical term for mathematical extraction efficiency. Modern casino management operates on data-driven performance metrics, where every square foot of floor space carries a specific revenue target. Machines that fail to meet these continuously increasing thresholds get retired regardless of player preference or satisfaction. Those targets have increased between 40 and 60% since 2010, according to industry financial reports, meaning the amount of money casinos expect to extract from each machine in each location has grown dramatically, while the mathematical fairness offered to players has declined proportionally. The mathematical reality is stark and documentable. A player arriving at a casino in 2005 with $100 could reasonably expect 2 to 3 hours of entertainment on games like Wild Cherry or Double Diamond. That same player with that same $100 on modern replacement machines can expect 45 to 75 minutes of play on average before their money is gone. This isn't subjective experience or selective memory. This is calculable mathematical outcome based on documented RTP differences and volatility structures. Analysis of player tracking data that former employees were able to access shows that average session lengths have decreased 20 to 35%, while losses per session have increased proportionally. The psychological shift represents a fundamental change in the relationship between casinos and players. The old games operated on a framework of entertainment with transparent cost. You paid for the experience of playing, and the house edge was relatively honest and containable. Modern games function as hope extraction systems according to multiple former executives who've spoken about industry practices. They're engineered to keep you seated and disoriented about whether you're actually winning or losing, encouraging continuous betting until your predetermined budget is exhausted and often beyond. What players are experiencing in real-world terms shows up consistently across forums, testimonials, and complaint patterns documented by gaming regulatory agencies. The most common report is my favorite machine disappeared and never came back, followed closely by new games look similar but don't pay the same. Players describe sessions where their money disappears faster than they remember from previous years, and bonus features that seem to trigger less frequently on newer machines, despite similar appearance and branding. Statistical backing for these perceptions exists in player satisfaction surveys conducted by gaming commissions, which show measurably declining satisfaction rates, even as casino revenue has increased. Win frequency tracking demonstrates that modern machines deliver fewer total wins, but occasionally larger individual payouts, creating high volatility that feels more punishing to players, even when the mathematical expectation is theoretically similar. Player club data analyzed by former casino analytics staff shows shorter average sessions combined paradoxically with higher average losses, meaning players are losing more money in less time. The verification problem for average players is nearly insurmountable. Most people have no way to access actual RTP information for specific machines. Paytables have become so complex with multiple bonus features and conditional triggers that they're essentially meaningless for calculating actual odds. And casinos face no requirement to disclose when machines have been updated or replaced with different versions. A former floor manager revealed that players would regularly ask where their favorite game went, and staff received specific training to respond that it's just being serviced even when everyone knew the machine had been permanently removed and would never return. The 7 machines you now know tell a complete story when you see them together. Wheel of Fortune's original mechanical version represented true randomness that casinos couldn't control remotely. Double Diamond showed transparency that let players actually understand their odds. Blazing Sevens offered simplicity that management specifically targeted for elimination. Quick Hit's pre-progressive versions got stealth downgrades that most players never consciously noticed. Monopoly's original physical bonus wheel delivered genuine randomness that modern digital systems only pretend to replicate. Triple Red Hot Sevens provided low volatility that let players on fixed incomes enjoy hours of affordable entertainment. And Wild Cherry stood as the final honest game, the last remnant of gambling's old social contract, before hope extraction became the dominant design philosophy. The connecting pattern couldn't be clearer according to every piece of documentation former employees have shared. Higher RTP equals removed, player-friendly features equals eliminated, transparent odds equals replaced with incomprehensible complexity, and fair shake equals swapped for mathematical traps disguised as entertainment. Now you understand why your gambling experience genuinely feels different from what you remember. You're not imagining the change, you're not succumbing to nostalgia or selective memory. The game's fundamentally changed in ways specifically designed to extract more money from you in less time. The practical implications for anyone who visits casinos are uncomfortable but documentable. Your favorite machines almost certainly aren't coming back to the floor. New games that carry similar names and visual branding operate on completely different mathematical structures that heavily favor the house. Casino floors are being actively optimized against player interests based on revenue per square foot metrics that have increased 40 to 60% in 15 years. The good old days of slots weren't just perception. They were mathematically real with demonstrably higher RTPs and more transparent mechanics. If a machine seems to eat your money faster than you remember, internal documentation suggests it probably does exactly that. Session length decreases aren't your imagination when player tracking data shows 20 to 35% declines. Bonus rounds that feel less rewarding actually are less rewarding, according to former game developers who programmed both old and new versions. This is all intentional design according to former casino employees who've broken ranks to explain what's happening. Understanding these patterns won't change the mathematics, but at least you'll know what's actually happening when you sit down to play. The future trend based on industry conference discussions should concern anyone who gambles. Within 5 years, machines with visible RTP above 92% will likely be nearly extinct from major casino properties. Within 10 years, purely mechanical randomness will probably be completely eliminated in favor of algorithm-driven systems that casinos can optimize continuously. There are actually 3 more categories of machines disappearing even faster than these 7, and the replacement games being installed have psychological manipulation techniques that former designers describe as disturbing. Which of these 7 machines did you use to play, and has it disappeared from your casino? Let me know in the comments because understanding these removal patterns helps everyone see what's really happening on modern casino floors. This information comes from documented reports, former casino employees, and industry analysis that casinos would prefer you never encountered. Pay attention to your casino's floor over the next few months because these removals are happening right now, and most players don't even notice until their favorite game is gone forever and replaced with something that looks similar but operates on completely different, far less favorable mathematics.